Welcome back. Okay, the legislation I was talking about, this it's called the this is a legislation that is providing that would require American iron. This is from an article in The Hill by Melanie Zanona, titled "Dems Press Trump to Support Buy America Provision in Water Bill." It would require American iron and steel products used in projects assisted by the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund to buy American and hire American. And Tammy Baldwin, the Democrat from Wisconsin, the senator, said, if President-elect Trump is serious about keeping his promise to build a made-in-America manufacturing economy, he needs to take a stand against this threat from Speaker Ryan and House Republicans. American workers should build our infrastructure with American products, and taxpayers' monies should not be spent on Chinese iron and steel. And by the way, if you'd like to weigh in on this with Congressman Ryan, with Paul Ryan's office, you can call his office at the Congressional Switchboard at 202-225-3121. This bill authorizes dozens of water-related infrastructure projects around the country. But a sticking point emerged last week when Speaker Paul Ryan dropped the so-called Buy America provision, which was in the Senate bill. And why the Republicans say, are they doing this? Well, they say that, critics of steel provision worry that directing federal funding to some companies over others would create an unfair system of winners and losers. Yes, the winners would be in America, the losers would be in China. What's wrong with that? And this is David Stockman talking about this. He's saying, they can't even do this. All right, this is clip number 4, Danielle. Here we go. This is David Stockman talking about this.
Well, I thought Trump was going to win, and that's why there's a disaster down the road. He can't govern. You don't realize how dysfunctional Washington is. This is just talk about...
Yeah, but if Hillary, you were calling for the market to have a serious correction when everybody thought that Hillary was going to win. So
I'm calling for, if I may say, Scott, I'm calling for a serious correction. I'm not smart enough to know when, but I know this market is basically betting on a huge fiscal stimulus. Almost everyone realizes the Fed is done. There's not much more it can do. And my point is this huge fiscal stimulus isn't going to happen. There is going to be a fiscal horror show that we haven't visited for the last 30 or 40 years.
Now, there's two words you need to know here to understand everything that he's talking about, and that's fiscal and monetary. There's two ways that the macro, the overall economy of the United States gets tweaked, as it were, by government. And one is with monetary policy, which is controlled by the Fed, which is basically interest rates and the amount of the money supply. And the Fed has been keeping interest rates super, super low, which has been inflating a housing bubble and has been inflating a stock market bubble. But it was what they felt they had to do to keep us out of a Great Depression after the Bush Great Recession of 2007, 2008. And they had to do that because Congress refused to appropriate money for the other word, which is stimulus. Fiscal policy, which is stimulative. Fiscal policy is when the government spends money, its own money or money that are borrowed, when the government spends money on things like infrastructure projects, and thus stimulates the economy. Well, if you don't have either one, and you hit a bump in the road, you're screwed. And that's where we're headed.